Hello, so I am going to do a short vlog about what I learned in this week's module about families and assessments. And some of the questions that I'm going to be talking about is what is the role of self-awareness in family assessment? And the role of a social worker in family assessment is huge. Because families are extremely diverse and come in all forms and carry various views, can pose a challenge to a social worker if they do not agree or understand the views of the family that they're working with. To achieve understanding, a social worker needs to grapple with his or her own perspectives about what constitutes a healthy, normal family, a functional family. And if the social worker does not take into consideration what is functional for the family they're working with in particular, that could potentially violate NASW Code of Ethics by not valuing human relationships of the family and by failing to respect the dignity and worth of the family's worldviews. And the next is, how does cultural values influence beliefs and values about family membership and family functioning? So Hepworth states that cultural values influence beliefs about family members and functions very heavily. For example, back in the 50s, there was this thing known as normative or nuclear family, and it consisted of a mother and a father and their two children, one boy and one girl. And this family was often associated with the white middle-class Americans. The mother stayed at home, took care of the housework, took care of the children, and this was a widely accepted view about what makes up a functional, normal family. And if you did not fit this mold, then you were not normal. And it still kind of leaks into today's society. You can still somewhat see that these views are held today. In scholarly articles, you look at demographics of families that are studied and see that until recently, the type of family that was studied fit this mold, the nuclear family. And this is dangerous because, a white middle class family where the mom can afford to stay at home and take care of the kids and the housework, and the dad is the breadwinner, is not necessarily normal. There's not a lot of people like that in America that can do that. So it's dangerous because there are various cultures and beliefs that influence how families function and their memberships. For instance, if you have a patriarchal family, the father is the head of the household. A matriarchal family, the mother is the head of the household. And there's various roles in between. So, maybe the daughter will, do dishes, or maybe the son mows the lawn. It's just various ways that families interact. Also, how they treat their elderly. A lot of times, white Americans will place older folks into nursing homes, whereas the Hispanic or Latino or even Asian cultures, their families will often bring them into their home, their personal home, and take care of them from there. After I watched a recorded clip, Family Dinner, from this film called Whiplash, and I would like to talk about it a little bit. So, after watching this clip, I definitely noticed my own personal beliefs about what makes a family healthy. For one, how Andy was put down immediately once his cousins appeared on the scene and placed as an afterthought is not very healthy in my eyes. Some things that I view as healthy for a family are support, love, and guidance for all members, not just those whose interests parallel your own. So, the beliefs and values that the family in the video might have is that jazz music, which is what Andy was studying, he was actually very good at it, is not something that is of true value, and it can be a difficult industry to get into, so it's kind of like put on the back burner. The other belief that could be is that manlier activities that require, physical strength and just physical strength, basically, that a young man does mean more than something that requires little to no physical strength. So Andy was a drummer and a musician, and his cousins were football stars and soccer stars, and that was valued more in his family than what Andy was doing. I think working with his family would challenge my personal beliefs, and it would be hard not to criticize or show favor toward Andrew being beaten down, because I do feel for him. And a way that I could build an authentic relationship with his family, I would try to attempt to get to know each member on a personal level. Take each person's concerns and talk about them with one another as a whole later. I think that would help me understand their thinking and help them understand each other's thinking. I think the best assessment strategy to use for this family would be observing patterns of interaction, and I chose this strategy due to my lack of complete understanding of how this family functions in the everyday. This would help me establish how the hierarchy is, who holds power in the family, and how to break certain patterns that are not healthy. Thank you for listening. That is all.